I'm here with comedian and presenter Matt Richardson, known for his work across stand-up, television and radio, including The Extra Factor and Celebrity Haunted Hotel Live.
I wanted to ask you a few questions today.
Of course.
About your career. How does it feel when you're touring and hearing people laugh? Just how does it feel?
It never gets old. There is nothing better than absolutely smashing a gig. The first time I did a gig, my first ever show, I had a really good one and I didn't sleep all night because I was on the ceiling. I was so high off of it. It's almost like a good gig feels like being a conductor of an orchestra where you're kind of going, I now do this and everyone reacts like this. It's just, there's no other feeling like it. It's my favourite thing in the world.
Yeah. What made you want to be a comedian?
Oh my God, it was all I wanted to do from a teenager. So when I was 14 or 15, it was sort of the thing I would have loved to have done. But I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't from a family where people did that kind of thing. So I just loved it from afar. And sort of my tutor was like, why is your attendance 8%? And I went, well, I've been doing stand-up and all this. And she went, go and do that. She went, you can always come back to university, but if you've got some momentum, go and do that. So I dropped out of uni, told my mum, she was fine with it. And my dad, I was living at home, so I went to Oxford Brookes and I lived near Oxford. So my dad, I used to get up in the mornings and pretend to go to university until he left for work. And then I would come back after he'd definitely gone. When I went to uni, there was a little comedy night. So I sort of signed up because I was miserable at university. And I thought, I'm going to do one thing I enjoy and try something out. And that was when I was 18, and then I've never stopped. He didn't know until years later. I told him I dropped out of uni much later than I did. And then it wasn't until he saw me a couple of years in. I did a show in my hometown in the little theatre with two other comics who were my mates, and then I headlined. And I had this, it was this great show. And then he went, you can do this for a living. And then I went, okay, can I drop out of uni? And he said, yes. But he went, you need to treat it like a job. So you gig him 5 nights a week. Because he worked from home quite a lot. He went, I'm going to wake you up. If you get in at 1, I'll wake you up at 9. You can have 8 hours. You're not laying in bed all day being lazy. I was then doing it by 20. I was doing it as my full-time job. I wasn't doing anything else.
How do you think it's changed in terms of reaching audiences from when you started to now?
So it's changed loads because I started doing comedy in 2009, 10. And it was just at the point that Michael McIntyre's Comedy Roadshow was on telly. How old were you?
3.
Oh my God, that makes me feel so old. So I was doing it was a real boom at the time on television, but then over the last few years, it's really changed. Less people are watching television, but because of the internet, there are lots of comedians who've never done any TV who are finding an audience because it's on TikTok and Instagram, and finding comedians that maybe would never have had a big career because they're finding something that's really niche to them that maybe wouldn't have appealed to a TV commissioner. Because the problem in telly is, there are gatekeepers. Every channel's got someone running it who, if they don't like you, that's you not getting on that channel. And even if you've got someone on the channel who likes you, they might move to another job and then that's you stopped. So the fact you can find an audience now is really important.
How important do you think open communication and honesty is with your audience?
So I think it's really important because I've kind of found some success recently by talking about my career and comedy on TikTok. And the thing I think that's worked is I've been very open about it. So things like people will ask, why didn't your career take off in the same way as someone like I started out with Ramesh Ranganathan and Rob Beckett, we were all new at the same time and we're all mates. Why haven't you gotten as famous as them? And I've sort of been very honest about the reasons I think that is. I've been talking about money and things that I think a lot of people don't want to talk about because they feel weird about it. But I think just it works for me. And even on stage, I'm quite honest and sort of, talk about some grisly things not gross, but embarrassing things and stuff like that. And I think people like that. When people find out that comedians might make up stuff or it's not necessarily all true, they're really offended by it. And I think they want to feel like you are honest. Even if you're not being honest, it has to feel like it's from a place of honesty. You shouldn't let the truth get in the way of a good bit.
How do you perform differently depending on the platform?
It's a really good question. TV is much more collaborative. So with stand-up, it's just you. You're writing your stuff, you're performing it. You might work with some other comedians. I've got a couple of mates, and if you're coming up with a tour show, you'll go to them and go, I've got this idea, but it's not quite working, and they all give each other tips. But with TV, there is, a crew that can be. I've worked on shows with 200 people on, and it's not just your opinion that matters. And I think that's the thing that comedians find quite hard. Radio is much more intimate and is much more similar to stand-up. You speak to one person. You're trying to make it so you're speaking to one person. So I've just started writing a new tour. So I'm going to go on tour in 2027 in the autumn because I finished one last year. And I'm just gigging a lot at the moment and doing whatever. I don't care. I'll do anything for money. Like I've got a mortgage. I'm not fussy anymore.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was like, I would never do that kind of thing. And now I'm like, how much is it? Yes, I will do that. Thank you. So yeah, I'm doing like just loads of stand up at the moment, like gigging tons.